keynote speaker. This guy's had a distinguished career in athletics. Played basketball at Indiana University, Ohio State University. Even spent some time professionally in the NBA. And you know what? I'm not going to go and read this. You guys can read the program and all of his other accomplishments. Today he's going to come here and talk to you guys about success, and athletics has not made him successful. He's hoping to share with you some inspirational thoughts and some ideas that you'll carry with you while you do your work and in your day-to-day life. So I'd like you to please join me in welcoming my friend, and oh, don't get up yet. I forgot to tell him that purple was the color. We've been talking for weeks about him coming here. Today I called him and said, hey man, I forgot to tell you need to support purple. He said, don't worry, I got it. So put your hands together and join me and welcome Lawrence Fleming.
I was a little worried about this mic here, it's so low, so glad he handed it to me. It's an honor for me to be here, and that is true. I put my outfit the night before, and he called me at 12 o'clock. He said, by the way, our theme is purple today. I said, don't worry, I got it. I got purple on. Coming here means a lot to me. And most people know me as a basketball player, but they don't know my story. And they don't know the pain that I went through growing up in poverty. And when you're poor, oftentimes people treat you like you're invisible. They treat you like you're a second-class citizen. And I've made millions and millions and millions of dollars playing basketball, and I've never forgotten that pain. And I appreciate everything you do to help folks get a leg up in life. I grew up on the west side of Columbus, Ohio. I grew up in this neighborhood called the Sullivan Gardens Housing Project. Yeah, that's true. And Sullivan Gardens, I think, was by far the roughest, toughest, baddest, meanest neighborhood in all of Columbus. Shut down in the late 90s. And I have dreams about Sullivan Gardens sometimes. It's usually nightmares, and I have to shake myself and wake up whenever I think about Sullivan Gardens, because I think about everything that I went through and how it really shaped me in life. And my wife is here. My wife is from Chillicothe, Ohio. I'm not sure how many of you have been to Chillicothe, Ohio. That's a pretty interesting place. It's like being in the Twilight Zone. You guys ever been in the Twilight Zone if you're old enough? My wife, when I was at Ohio State, I took her back to Sullivan Gardens and I said, listen, I'm gonna show you where I'm from. And she cried. She couldn't believe it. She said, something's not right here. This brother ain't got no tattoos. He speaks perfect English. He ain't got no sag. Something must be wrong here. And I said, no. Good things can come out of the projects. Good things can come out of the projects. I grew up on 795 Buchanan Drive, apartment C. What's interesting about Sullivan Gardens, I don't know how many of you know this, but most of the streets were named after US presidents. And I think that's pretty ironic in terms of what they stood for and then our lot in life in the projects. There were 10 people that I grew up with that were either murdered or committed suicide. 10. For 18 years, from the time I came out of my mother's womb to the time I left for college on a Division I scholarship, I grew up on food stamps. I grew up on welfare. And to this day, I carry a food stamp in my pocket. This is real. I've had this for decades, as a constant reminder of the pain of poverty. But I'm very grateful and thankful to actually have gone through poverty, because it taught me a lot about compassion and helping other people as well. I was asking Lance, I said, what's the ratio of women to men working here? And he said 3 to 1. So I feel at home here because I grew up in a house full of women. I have a single parent mother and I had 3 older sisters, and that was rough. It was rough. A lot of playing with doll babies. They used to put lipstick on me, dress me up in pink. It's all good. I wear pink, I wear purple, it's all good. And then when my mom would leave to go party at night, they would cut off all the lights and they would say, the boogeyman's coming to get you, and they would scare me. And even though my sister treated me bad when I made it to the NBA, bought all of my sisters a house, took care of them, loved my sisters. And my father, I'll never call him dad, because a dad is a title you earn through relationship. It's based on equity.
Yes, sir.
And my father, I saw my father 3 times my whole life. My father never one time told me that he loved me. Not one time. And my mom would tell me all the time, she would say, son, your father's coming to see you. And I would wait, and I would look out the window, and I would wait, and I would wait. And he never showed up. He never showed up. He never kept his word. Never. And the times he would come over, he was drunk, he was an alcoholic. He'd take me to the corner store. I'm sitting in the car with a man who's already inebriated, his alcohol level well past the legal limit, in stunned silence. What does a father say to a son that he doesn't want? What does a son say to a father that he doesn't know? A lot of pain. I have 2 kids, a daughter who's a teenager. It's rough raising teenage kids too. And I got a son. And my son is 9. And I never saw my father again after the age of 9. And he said, Daddy, how come your father didn't love you? And I can't answer that. And I learned a lot in poverty. In poverty, emotions rule the day. They rule the day. And there's a movie called Inside Out. I don't know how many of you have seen it if you have kids. And as adults, we think the animated movies are only for kids, but the themes are for us too now. And emotions shape me from the outside in. And in that movie, there's fear, there's anger, sadness, disgust, happiness or joy. And there's also a 6th one that's a surprise. And when it comes to fear, there's a lot of fear in poverty. Fear of being violated, having a child get caught up in the drug or gang, running out of money, and food at the end of the month. And for me, I always had a fear of being outed in poverty. And when I would go to the grocery store, and I'd be in the line, and then somebody from my neighborhood I would be checking out, they would come in, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want anybody to see me with these food stamps. So I would get out of line and walk around the store until they left. You do a lot of things like that. And I remember just being dropped off by friends, middle class, affluent friends, and I never wanted them to see the face of poverty up close. I never wanted them to see that. So I always tried to distance that as best I could. And I know in poverty, to cope, you go through self-preservation, to cope. Because a lot of people betray your innocence. A lot of people take advantage of you. They touch you and do inappropriate things to you. I've been there, I had that done to me. And a lot of people say they're going to keep their word. They make promises and they don't show up. You never forget that. In anger, my wife tells me this all the time, anger was probably the most toxic and beneficial emotion for me. And there's 2 types of anger. There's productive anger and there's also destructive anger. And in poverty, oftentimes, particularly as a male, you have to be the captain of your own ship. And so often, as males, it's akin to a ship without a rudder. You don't know where the wind's going to take it, but you know it's going to land somewhere. Most capsize their vessel in the sea of hopelessness and despair. And I said, that's not going to be me. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be something. I'm going to be somebody, that's for sure. And in poverty, you carry this gym bag around full of anger. Oftentimes, you don't even know why you're angry. You're just angry. And I know a lot of you work with clients and work, and you don't really, sometimes I always tell people, the middle class, they don't always understand poverty, because it doesn't always make sense. But it makes perfect sense to them. And the thing I was most angry about, I was talking to Lance, I remember one time I went to this school called Worley. Worley closed down. It was a big basketball powerhouse. Most people forget about Worley. And our colors were green and orange. Ugh. And I remember when I started getting publicity, and my mom, she asked me one time to go to the welfare office with her. And I remember I was in line, and there was someone who recognized me and said, man, did you score 30-some points against Worley? That was before I transferred to Worley. And I was so embarrassed that I told my mom, I said, give me the key, I'm going back home to the projects, because I was so embarrassed and humiliated by poverty. And in poverty, you use a lot of coping mechanisms. And for me, music was very, very important. And depending on my mood, depending on my music choice. And if I was contemplative, I would listen to classical music and love songs. And I know, talking about classical music, I get my hood card revoked for that, for sure. But Beethoven, Mozart, Tchaikovsky, I love classical music. Love songs. Most people think of Michael Jackson, but he had a lot of nice love songs. I was just listening to Michael Jackson this afternoon. Human Nature was a very important song to me. Now, if I was feeling rebellious, my music choices were polar opposites. Gangster rap and hard rock. I know. Because gangster rap is about defiance, and it's about anger and revenge and rebellion. And I would listen to Public Enemy and NWA before I would play basketball games, and I would go out there and punish my opponent. And when it came to hard rock, I like Van Halen, I like Def Leppard, and as black folks, you try to say, oh, I ain't listening to hard rock. I bet if they play some Pour Some Sugar on me, I bet you'd be, yeah, I know, you know what I'm talking about. And I used to listen to this one group, and I would definitely get my hood card revoked if I mentioned this, if they knew this, was AC/DC. And my mom would be downstairs, and she would scream upstairs, and she'd say, boy, turn that damn devil music off. And I would shut the door, and I would lean up against it, and I would play like I was playing a drummer, and I would stick my tongue out in defiance for her. And when it came to upbeat music, it was R&B, it was soft rock, or pop rock. And there was a song that was really my theme song growing up in my teenage years, was Peter Gabriel's Big Time. I love that song, Big Time, because I saw myself as big time. Even though people didn't see me that way, when you're poor and people treat you like you're invisible, I saw myself in that light. And my wife, she shared this with me one day. She said, with God's blessings, of course, you willed the life that you wanted to have. You didn't listen to the propaganda that failure was your only option in the ghetto. You were and still are so confident in your abilities that it is so amazing, and to be honest, scary. Whatever you put your mind to, you do it. And yes, music is still an escape route for you. And as Archie Bunker used to say, those were the days of poverty. And if you're never humiliated or angry or embarrassed or ashamed about poverty, you're never going to escape. You're never going to get out. And I've got a book that's coming out. It's called Socio-Psychonomics. It's how social classes think, act, and behave financially in the 21st century. And it's all from the standpoint of finances and financial mindset. I'll give you a little bit. My wife says I share too much sometimes when it comes to what I'm working on. But in poverty, it's about scarcity. Scarce resources, scarce opportunities. And security, as far as the middle class, it's about three things. A stable job with benefits, home ownership, and a secure retirement. And when it comes to affluence, it's about seniority, ownership, and positions of authority. And whenever I'm working with folks, I'll know what their social class is based on how I have to communicate with them. And in poverty, it's all about personality driven. It's all about the mojo factor. And you really got to reach them, because sometimes the messenger is more important than the message in order to reach poverty. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then when it comes to middle class, it's problem solving driven. My wife and I, we have a business, and when we're working with folks in the area of finances, we know particularly the middle class, because there's a singular focus that they want help with, and they said, listen, whatever you're telling me, that's background noise. I need help with this situation right here. And that's micro focus. In affluence, it's macro focus. It's the big picture, the playbook. And we started this business last summer because we want to bridge the wealth gap and the health gap in our country. And it's incumbent upon us to do that, to help people from all walks of life. We have programs for kids, for adults. And how do you escape from poverty? How did I escape from poverty? I had to create an alternative universe. and it was far different from the one that I currently was living in. And it helped shape my internal dialogue. My wife to this day will tell me, who are you talking to? 'Cause I talk to myself all the time. Because you have to be your own cheerleader sometimes in poverty. Because everyone tells you you're not going to make it. And you listen to them, you won't make it. The prophecy will come true. Now, I'm writing a book, and hopefully we can auction this off. This is my book. Not auction it off, I'm sorry, raffle it off. Sorry. I think I'm at a fundraiser gala, by the way. I wrote a book called The Triangle Formula to Success. It's my 3 principles, how a poor kid from the project was able to make it out. And the first foundation is vision. You gotta have a vision. You gotta be able to see the picture, what you want to accomplish in life. And I think that's been my biggest attribute, is vision. And Les Brown, motivational speaker, he said, never let someone's opinion of you become your reality. And Pastor T.D. Jakes, I'm a big fan of his, he said this, he said, something familiar can be fatal because you see yourself being what you went through rather than understanding that you can go through it and not be it. And that's poverty. You can go through it, but you don't have to be it. Now, when it comes to knowledge, is about the accumulation of information. I love this quote. Some students drink from the fountain of knowledge, others just gargle. And most people know me as a basketball player, but I love education. I love learning. And I got 3 degrees. I played basketball for 11 years. I graduated in business finance at Ohio State. I got a bachelor's degree, a professional degree. I love learning. And whenever I talk to young people, I tell them, look, if I got 3 degrees, every one of you can give me just 1. You can give me 1 degree. And then the last quality is excellence. And who better to learn excellence from? Michael Jordan. My rookie year in the NBA, I was having a very successful season. I got fouled on the play, and I walked past Michael Jordan, and I said, nobody can stop me out here. Now that was stupid to say something like that to Michael Jordan. Dumb. Well, I'm from the projects. I talk a lot. I can back it up too. Now, he was bending over, and I walked past him and said to him, and I can't repeat what he said because I can't use that language in here. But he said, Lawrence, he says, you're on a whole nother level now. He says, this is not Ohio State. I'm like, man, Michael Jordan used to watch me play in college? Yeah, they want to see who's the competition coming up. And he says, you got to bring it every day. You could be in the league and out the league. And that's what excellence is about. Your job is about excellence. Bringing your A game every day to help people. And when you said self-sufficiency, that's what I've always been about. Self-sufficiency. People want to be treated in a humane fashion. That's what they want. That's all they want. And I'm incredibly grateful because I was told as a poor kid from the projects, you ain't never going to be nothing. You ain't never getting out of here. And I knew I was going to get out. It was just a matter of time.